Hey everybody, welcome to Board Game Heaven. In this episode, I'm going to do an unboxing of Deep Madness by Roger Ho, published by Diemension Games, which is a big box full of miniatures. It's a cooperative horror style game, and as an added bonus, I'll also briefly show you the art of Deep Madness. So let's quickly open up the box and see what's inside. Deep Madness by Diemension Games, a sci-fi horror game for 1 to 6 players, designed by Roger Ho, and the artwork by Chang Yuan. So let's take a look at the back of the box, and this is a rather heavy box. So the back of the box has some cool artwork on it with all these monsters and creatures on it, with a bit of a text of what it is about. All the components listed here, ages 14 and up, in about 90 to 120 minutes, 1 to 6 players. Let's open up the box. So there we go, rather heavy box. It has a big book on top with some nice artwork again. Alright, let's quickly browse through that because it's rather thick. So welcome to Kadath. Components. A setup. Choosing your monsters, playing the game. Activation phase, refresh phase. And everything is very well illustrated with images of all the components. That makes it a lot easier to understand. And then from page 28 the storybook starts. So we have several chapters. Chapter 2. Let's just quickly see how many there are. Right, hang on, there's more. Chapter 5. Yep. Okay, so yeah, 6 and 8. Okay, so 8 chapters come with the game, and then we have lots of minis here in this insert, which has a nice plastic cover. So then I'll put the box aside for a bit and check out those minis. So we got some tape. Right. So over here, I have no idea what they're all called yet. So I'm just going to show them to you, and as you can see, they are very detailed. A scary worm-like creature with tentacles. So we have that one, 3 of those in the box. Then we have 5 of these creepy mutated humans, it seems, with an extra arm, an open rib cage, very creepy looking, and they are all made of a sturdy plastic, non-bendable, and very detailed. There's several of these, I think in 2 sculpts. So there we go, these 2 ugly monsters with their tentacle tongues, who remind me of deep ones. There you go. So that's 2 different sculpts for those creatures, 4 of each. And we have this guy, a big worm-like creature with small wings, which kind of make up his mouth, more or less. So that's his jaws opening wide, making him look like some kind of winged, brainy worm with spikes all over. Very creepy. So there's 8 of those over here. I think this is a different sculpt. Yes, it is. Basically the same creature, but slightly differently posed. Then we have these, and also in 2 different sculpts. There's 5 of each. So we have, they're kind of like, you know, the bottom is what's left of a human being with the legs, and the top has turned into a writhing mass of tentacles. So it is kind of different from this one though, because this still has arms and one huge tentacle. But as it is with these kind of Lovecraftian creatures, you never know how they will change and twist and turn, so they kind of constantly change. And then there's these crawling guys over here, and do we also have different sculpts for those? It does look like it. So we have this one, this crawly creature with double arms, as you can see, and a tail, a spiny back, and a tongue, and this one as well. Another one of those creepy crawling creatures with a lashing tongue. Alright, so there's, let me see, 8 of those in here. They do have a spot for their tails, I see, like that. Oops. So the insert is very nicely made to fit it all back again. And then we have these creatures. They're actually kind of cute. I don't know why, but yeah, they're like tiny little blobby spiders, although they only have 6 legs and a spiky tail. And they don't have a base because they just sit on your hand. Look at that. Look at how cute that is. Aw. Bet it's not that cute when you encounter it though. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 of those in here. So that is this tray of monsters. Oh, wait a second, I almost forgot the investigators. So forgive me, I don't know their names yet, but this guy over here is also nicely detailed, wearing some kind of backpack there, and he's got an apron on or something, so I'm guessing he's a scientist. I think he's holding a vial, and in the other hand I'm not sure what he's holding, maybe another vial, can't really tell, but we will see in some artwork, I presume. So that guy, we have this woman here who's holding a flashlight, and she's in a very active pose, very dynamic, ready to run. And here is a tough looking dude, some kind of soldier with a large gun. He's got a cross hanging around his neck, and he's got a duffel bag. He looks kind of cool, kind of like a Jason Statham kind of dude. Here's another person with a handgun, also dynamically posed, with some sort of vest. Maybe it's a bulletproof vest, or maybe not. It's a vest. So we have that one. Here is another woman with, I think, let me just see if I can see what that is. A syringe? That could be a syringe. Maybe she's a medical officer. She also has a bag slung around her shoulder, a long coat, long hair. So yep, and finally this person here. with the briefcase, and he's also holding something I can't quite, maybe it's some kind of device. Yeah, I think it's some kind of communication device, like a tricorder or something. Something small in his hand with a flat surface, or maybe some kind of, you know, mobile radar like the Marines have in Aliens. He's got a backpack and his briefcase. So those are the 6 investigators from the base game. Let's move on. So next we have a shrink-wrapped pack of 4 punch boards. Let me see if I can open that. There we go. Okay, so plenty of tokens. We've got some door standees over here, and there's a red hand and an orange hand. We have different colors of hands, and this punch board here, the second one, is more or less the same. So we've got all kinds of different colors, 1, 2, 3, and 4 numbered tokens. We've got these dials that you put together, and they can use to indicate some numeric value normally. We've got some monster tokens, some green tokens, some, I don't know, is that a brain token, and heart tokens, shields, some 1 and -1 counters here, something else. And on the back, there you go, there's the counter, the second counter dial, some numbers again. And most of it is the same on the second side except for these hands. So there you go. Pretty cool artwork. Some more of those, as we saw. Yes, and still more over here, some more colors again. Different kinds of tokens. And a 4th one with some scientist tokens here, some more numbers, some different tokens over here. I think these are, I don't know, they're connected, so they might interact with the tiles of the board, I'm not sure. And some more dials here, some red and yellow doors. Okay, and then we've got some more minis and some tiles over here. So first of all, let me just take this large pack of tiles. There are a boatload of tiles in here. So let me grab my knife here and open this pack up. There we go. So I'm just going to quickly show all of these to you, and they're a bit sticky still. So I'm going to have to pull them off of each other a bit. It's the edges of the tiles where perhaps some residual glue still sat when they packed this, but not bad. They come off very easily. So we have these tiles, and they are double-sided, and on one side you will have the regular state of the station. So we have some toilets here, and on the other side is the state where it's, you know, overtaken by whatever's haunting this underwater station, this creepiness. So it's in a green yellowish glow and a red ominous looking glow. So that's pretty cool, and many of those have that. So let me just see. Here's another a room. This is a quarters, it seems, because it has a bed, a table, some chairs, and a computer desk. So that's pretty cool. And of course on the back, haunted. And here is, let's see what that is. So some kind of room, I'm not sure. There's some blood on these sheets here. I dread to think what went on here. And on the other side it's even worse. So the atmosphere for this game is very, very dark and creepy, as you are in an underwater station that gets infected by these creatures, these terrors. So there you go, here's another one. I'll cycle through them a bit faster now because there are so many. So these paws here. This is like a frozen room, so like a freezer. Here's some bridges, corridors. Here is another station, medical station or something, with some of these tanks with creatures in it. Some more over here. Here's a green bay, a botanical station. Some kind of refinery here. And another corridor with some fans. Maybe this is the air purification room or something. More of these walkways. Another one. And I must say, I am very impressed by the artwork on these tiles. They look very cool, very professional. It's like, you know, almost like Mansions of Madness underwater. Something from The Abyss, or some other, I don't know, some Lovecraftian themed movie. So yeah, and there's still more. That's just amazing. So many tiles. Awesome. So this is a pretty huge underwater base. This looks like a mess hall or something, or maybe a room for gatherings, for discussing matters. Another sort of like a medical room with all these robot arms. Some kind of just facility. Something, I guess this is sewage or something, because there's a hole in the wall here that's oozing water. And here is a glass tube with some kind of device, transportation device. Okay, so those were the smaller tiles, lots of those, 30 in total. So, and then we have a couple of these bigger tiles. There we go. And the bigger tiles, there's 5 of those. Those aren't as sticky as the small ones, fortunately. So we have a big room here with lots of computers, some corridors here. It's multi-level. And on the other side, the red version. And here's another room with something that opens into the water, I guess. Maybe this is some kind of submarine, perhaps. Another big tile. more rooms over here. So a table, some chairs, and a separate room over here that has a coffin. Some creepy looking skulls as well. And over here the red side again. And then finally this room. This big machine, some kind of generator perhaps. And the infested version. Alright, so there is a ton of these tiles in here, rooms to explore. Then we have a whole bag full of clip-on bases, and these bases all have little clip on the side. I don't know if you can see that clearly, but in this clip usually you can put some kind of token to keep track of stuff that happens to the characters. And here is a bag of these little clips that connect the rotating dials. And here are some colored bases for your characters, for your heroes, so you know which one belongs to which player. And some transparent bases, some stands for the standees, such as doors, I imagine. There's a nice set of dice. So we've got these red dice with numbers on them, and shields, or what are those? And we have this big D12 with all kinds of different symbols on it. Tentacles and bloody eyes and big jaws and scratch marks, claws. So yeah, that's probably a bad thing to roll this die. Then we've got plenty of cards here. So we've got a pack of smaller cards. So I'll just quickly open that up. See what those are. So let's see, there are all the same. Nope, there's different ones. We have a deck of these, which look like they are doors. And we have a deck of these, which look like they have been opened. And we have some of these, which looks like a walkway or something. And some of them are blank, and some of them are for characters. So you've got Arthur Wayland, Felicia Armitage, Jared Drake, Randy Carter, Roman Asimov, and Samuel Smith. So, okay, so those are the characters. Let's quickly look at these. So these are the monsters with their names. So Ravenous, which we saw, Agony, Hysteria. Yeah, that's the brainy snake-like one with the wing-like jaws. The Husk, Delirium, Blind. So those were different creatures after all. Putrid, Twisted, Bathophobia, Madness Within, Substance. So those are the bigger ones, I imagine. So those are all the monster cards. And these cards show you rooms. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So all the tiles basically have their own card. And maybe that's used for, you know, randomly generating the layout of the station. That's pretty cool. So we have some bigger cards as well, and even bigger ones underneath. So let's quickly see what these are. There we go. So these are tools you can use. We've got knives here, utility knife, a crowbar, grappler, an axe, an electric rod, scalpel. Well, that looks like something that's going to do a whole lot more damage than a scalpel. A hydrogen torch, an ore cutter, a pistol, an SMG, shotgun, assault rifle, spear gun, injection gun, rivet gun, javelin launcher, interesting. A flashlight, protective suit, sedative mask, a depth charger, inner healing, some kind of token. So plenty of things to find. Syringes. Okay, so we have those. And we have these. These are different. A red back side with text. I'll just go through those real quick because I don't know if I'll spoil anything. But there's lots of text on these. More of those here. So let me just see what that is. So yeah, more of those red cards with text. There we go. And we have blue cards, more text, which I will quickly just cycle through here. So we have those. Then we have the red hand cards. So they belong to a certain chapter, I see, different colors. So that's what these tokens are for, I imagine. Okay, so all kinds of story cards that you're going to use with these scenarios, I take it. All right, and let's have a look at this deck of cards. These seem to be monster cards as well. So we have some game round cards and devoured effects. So these are player aids. We've got 6 of those, 1 for each player. We have the player cards, these dashboards for all the characters, nicely illustrated, all their stats on them, and then there's the monsters again with their stats. So we have these again, we've seen them in the small cards. Loving the artwork. The Mind Eater. So that's the bigger cards with all the stats of all of the creatures and investigators. And then finally in the box we have, is this taped? Yes, it is. Very well packed, I must say. Diemension Games did a good job with the inserts and the packaging. So we've got these big creepy looking monsters. So there we go, all these grasping tentacles and mouths and tongues, and eyes, straight from your darkest nightmare. So we have 3 of those in here. We have this big bad one, which looks like it's a snake made up of human body parts, kind of like something from, you know, the movie The Thing by John Carpenter, which is a movie I would recommend watching if you haven't yet. And then here is another big monster, a very snake-like monster again, with several arms and claws and some wings in beneath, and it actually has faces on both sides. So we have this side, and we have that side as well. Pretty creepy. And finally, this big one, this bathophobia, if I recall correctly. That is just one giant blob of horror right there. Giant nightmare, and it is super, super detailed. Just look at that. So, those are all the items in the base game of Deep Madness. And here we have the Art of Deep Madness. A nice looking book. Comes in a shrink. So I'll just take that off. There we go. It's a nice matte finish. So let's take a look at the art book. So there is a nice piece of art right there. An introduction. So we have the World of Deep Madness, the Church of the Golden Dawn, Kadath, Journey to Gadath, Investigators, Monsters, and Acknowledgements. So here's the introduction. The World of Deep Madness. Look at that. That looks amazing. That looks so cool. These shelves here with the books. Some kind of, collapsed library. The Church of the Golden Dawn. That's what those symbols are for. So there's all kinds of text here with a backstory of everything that's taking place in the game. So that's pretty cool. That would be fun to read. There we have some of the characters. Reagan the Asset. And here we have Ward Phillips, who looks a lot like H.P. Lovecraft himself, holding a book that spouts these tentacles. That's a nice nod. There is Meredith Waite of the Leng Corporation, the Kadath mining facility, uncovering the sphere. So that's cool. There's a whole text here. So it's kind of like a little novel as well. Some monsters again. Here you go. Somebody hiding in fear, cowering here from these creepy monsters roaming the facility. Dr. William West there in his wheelchair. Here is a guy in a submarine, those old-fashioned diving suits, who just harvested a brain from this monster. Kind of like the Big Daddy from it was a BioShock. So we have some more player characters here again. Hannah. The Journey to Gadath. So here you can see the underwater facility from outside, from in the ocean, with a submarine approaching here. Very cool looking. The Investigators, Arthur Wayland, which I suppose is a nod towards the Wayland-Yutani Corporation from the Aliens movies. Felicia Armitage, Jared Drake, Randy Carter, and Roman Asimov. Asimov, again, probably a nod towards Isaac Asimov, the sci-fi writer. Samuel Smith. So he might be closer to Will Smith than Jason Statham. And here's Amanda Weaver. That is pretty cool. That's, of course, a nod towards Ripley from Aliens, the Alien movies. Charles Ryan in the heavy miner suit. Dakota Jansen. Here is David, the pilot. Who also reminds me of David, the robot from the Alien Prometheus movie. Here's Jacob Clark, the relief expert, who looks like the character from the video game Deep Space. Pris, the secretary. And Stephen Cooper, the scientist, who is definitely a nod towards Half-Life's protagonist. Gordon Freeman, Christopher Dalton, the explorer, and Emma Kruger, the special agent, who kind of looks like a blonde version of, what's her name again? From the Avengers. Yeah, I forgot the name. Franklin Christie, the Navigator, and Isaiah Wiesenthal, the Prophet. And the artwork here is really, really good. The Hacker, the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Sophie Brigman, the Diver. There's probably some references I'm missing here. So we have monsters, again the artwork. And I remember the original artwork was this, more like, you know, this kind of suggesting a monster there, but not really seeing it, like, you know, in a nightmare or something. And I remember seeing this art on the Kickstarter, and they wanted to do the cards with these instead. But they, in the end, the backer said, well, we won't know which card belongs to which monster because they're so unclear. So at some point they changed to actual art of the monster that's also in the figurine. So I'm kind of glad they did that, but I'm also glad they kept them in the art book, which was one of the reasons I added the art book, so I could have all the art. Because it's just, you know, it's so good. Here we go with the Agony and the Atrocity. Husk and Mind Eater. And Nest. Delirium and Blind. Putrid and Twisted. Bathophobia, the big one. The Madness Within, and all of them have a little bit of background text, some flavor text. Substance. The glue was kind of too far, I think, so it kind of pops loose when I open the pages. The Deep One and the Hydra. The Shadow of Filth. And the Victim. The Collector. Again, the Big Daddy kind of creature. The Dissected. The Bloated and the Purge. So there's plenty of monsters in here that aren't in the base game, but I suppose are in the expansions. The Wrecked and the Parasite. The Unbound. Hallucination and Immortal. Which looks like an elder thing. And the Obscure. Here's a Despair, which is all kinds of arms. And the Grudge, which indeed looks like the Grudge from the movie. The Drifter, could that be Haster, the King in Yellow? The Thirster and the Glutton. The Mutilation. The Devourer of Worlds, also known as Azathoth. The Spawn of the Sleeper. There we go. A Cthulhu-like monster. Insidious. A Dimension Rift. Penitent and Forsaken. And finally, some more art here with the acknowledgements of the artists. So that's 100 pages of very nice looking art and backstory right there. So that is the art of Deep Madness. And so that was the unboxing of Deep Madness by Diemension Games. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Board Game Heaven.